Aloha, beautiful souls. This is Ryan of tranSOULution, and welcome to my channel, Transform with Ryan, where I am bringing in that light whenever there are shadows. In this pick a card tarot reading, we are going to find out who were you in a past life, and we're going to see also what karma did you carry with you from that past life into this life. Okay, so for those of you that are not familiar with the idea or the notions of past life, I do highly recommend reading Dr. Brian Weiss. He has several books out there. It really helped enlighten me about the energies of the past and sort of my philosophies surrounding the eternal and immortal soul, those types of things. Very interesting reads. So Dr. Brian Weiss, and his last name is spelled Weiss. So check it out. They're pretty interesting, easy, quick reads. And now take a look at these three piles right here. The first pile says phobias. The second pile says persecution and inquisition. And the third pile says love life. So see which pile is calling to you. And of course, if more than one pile is really grabbing your attention and you're feeling drawn to more than one pile, honor that intuition, honor that gut feeling, and watch the appropriate readings, okay? So you'll find the link to your reading or readings down in the description box below. I will see you there. Hey there, Star Fam! Welcome back to another reading here at Transform with Ryan. And today in this reading, we're going to be exploring one of my favorite topics in the spiritual world is past lives. And so thank you again so much for supporting this channel and coming back for another reading. I'm so happy to be here sharing space with you once again. And for those of you that are new to this channel and found your way here on this amazing topic of past lives, welcome, welcome, welcome. Sending you a very warm aloha. Please let me know where you're tuning in from down in the description box below, or comments actually. So for those of you that were drawn here to the Phobias card, how interesting that you were drawn to this card right here. And what I'm sensing from the beginning here is that you were in a past life where you really experienced quite a bit of hardships. I'm sensing a lot of poverty here, a lot of sadness as well in a past life. Obviously, phobia means fear. So what I'm sensing more is not necessarily phobias in the sense of like a fear of flying or a fear of snakes or heights. Not quite like those phobias, but something a little bit deeper, something a bit more impactful. And so what I'm sensing is this phobia of danger in the sense of your rights and your reason for existing are being challenged. You know, like how the Puritans left England to come to the colonies. So some of this like exile energy, or people who are, what is the term? Refugees, like political refugees, things like that. I'm also sensing this fear of not having enough, like a scarcity issue. Maybe you had a past life in a time where there was a lot of famine, a lot of drought. And so I'm sensing, yes, it's sort of like this lack, this phobia of lack, of this phobia of not having the basic necessities for life, okay? So that's kind of at the core of this past life. And I actually created piles. So there's gonna be two cards here that's gonna give us some clues as to sort of like the subcontext, the subtext behind this past life where you were experiencing a lot of scarcity, okay? Oh, so we have farm, and we have Greco-Roman. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that those of you that were drawn to this reading, you would fall under one of two categories. So one, you grew up in farmland country. So that makes sense in the time of like what I was mentioning earlier, famine, drought, pestilence. Perhaps there was a time where those, not grasshoppers, but they look like grasshoppers, where they come and they eat all the crops. Why am I blanking on their name right now? Anyways, maybe it'll come back to me here later on in the reading. If you know, you can comment down below what the name of this grasshopper-like creature. I know they're a lot bigger than a grasshopper and a cricket. but they come and eat crops, I believe, like corn, wheat, perhaps. So you grew up in a very rough time. And in the US, what I'm being drawn to, for those of you who had a past life in the US, I'm seeing like the Midwest energies, like, Little House on the Prairie kind of vibes, if you're familiar with that show. So the frontier, like living out on the frontier. I'm also getting a strong sense for many of you too of Ireland, being like a farmer, potato farmer in Ireland. And I know there was a period of time in Ireland as well, and this could apply to several of you, where there was an issue with the potato crops and there was like a potato famine or something like that. The details I'm not as clear on, but I remember like a brief reference to that. And I'm getting that energy here for many of you. Now, for others of you, there's this Greco-Roman time period. And what I'm sensing here for many of you is there like a lifetime where there was war. So this fear of your own personal safety and well-being, because you just never knew when your village was going to be attacked and ransacked by the enemy. I'm also sensing here a lot of distrust in people, like government officials, because I feel like there was some kind of abuse and neglect. And when you have two people warring, it's kind of like the soldiers, the army, which are representatives of the government, right? And the rulers there, like the council, the king, the queen, those people that generally kind of declare war, right? And then all the soldiers have to go fight on behalf of their rulers. So I'm sensing this big distrust and fear of these tyrants of a ruler, and how there was this broken trust where it was like, the ruler is supposed to provide for their people and take care of their people, and yet the ruler is putting you all in danger by declaring war. And instead of just the soldiers battling it out, it's like these soldiers are coming through your town, your village, and ransacking it and pillaging and burning and stealing and raping. And it's just like this horrible, horrible scene is what I'm getting. And so this really legitimate fear of your own personal safety. I'm also getting the sense here of the rise of like Catholicism, with the Roman Catholic Church, and how during that transition, there were people who still had faith and belief in the older system of spirituality and the gods and goddesses and the pantheon and all those kinds of things. And I'm sensing a lot of persecution for not wanting to convert over to the new belief system. So again, this sort of fear of leadership, because now leadership is kind of ruling every part of your life and saying like, hey, if you don't believe what we believe, then you're going to be executed, you're going to be killed. You have to get on board, or your life and your well-being, your health, and the health, well-being, and life of your loved ones are going to be challenged and threatened. Okay, so that's what I'm sensing here with some energies from the past life. I'm sensing a lot with the phobia is a lot of you were a victim in a past life, okay? And that's kind of carrying over into this life and manifesting as this fear and distrust of people in power. And what's interesting, I'm sensing also a deep fear on the state of the world as far as the ecological health of the planet, right? Like global warming is something that really concerns you a lot, because that creates crazy weather patterns and winds and tsunamis and monsoons and hot spots in areas, and the melting of the icebergs. I sense that that's also like a big concern for you in this lifetime, okay? Now, let's take a look at some of the energies of your past life, okay? Let's get some more details here, and then, of course, we'll pull some tarot. And then after that, we're going to take a look at the karma, okay? Like what's kind of being brought over, what needs to be healed and resolved and reconciled for this lifetime, so you can really expand into your fullest potential and not be held back by this karma, okay? So, wow, very interesting, very interesting. When I've done past life regressions for people, it's like literally I get to hear stories from times long ago from the personal perspective of my clients, reliving it through this regression process. And it's really amazing, and sort of these aha moments that relate to their current life is really wonderful to witness. So we have the sun, the temple path, and caring connections. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So definitely what I'm seeing here is with the sun, there is this fear of extreme heat, again, related to the drought. And so for many of you, maybe you don't really enjoy warm weather, hot temperatures. Maybe you're even hesitant to travel to places that are like that. So tropical climates, deserts. I would say deserts are definitely a place that you are not really into. I'm sensing that some of you might even have like a subtle fear of being like left out in the desert. So I don't know if any of you have ever driven cross country. In the US, and I'm guessing in some other countries around the world too, there are these stretches in the southern US where it's like literally just desert and there's no life, no civilization to be found for miles and miles and miles. And I know before when I was driving cross country for my graduate school and stuff, there were times where I was a little bit nervous when it came to driving through, farmlands or driving through the desert where there is like no people around and that my car would overheat and break down or I'd run out of gas and like there's so few cars on the road that I would like have to wait forever for assistance and I would be afraid to like hitchhike and get a ride from someone else because who knows how safe they are, right? So I would say like that's something of like a fear or a phobia of yours is very warm climates and temperature, and you probably feel very uncomfortable in them, like physically. I would say that maybe you even develop like heat rashes or heat bumps when you're out in the sun. And so I'm sensing that you prefer, a lot cooler climates. And I'm also getting to that Egypt. Egypt is another area because the Nile. I think during the time of ancient Egypt, it was a lot more alive. There was a lot more greenery back then. And now, it's a little bit more deserty in Egypt. But there is definitely this concern about being sort of on the fringes of the Nile River, like further away from the Nile River, which is the source of life for a lot of Africa. And, like the hardships of living out there in the more dry and barren lands. Oh my God, this is really interesting. So I just got a download from Spirit as well that for us, a small group of you too, there's even this fear of being barren as far as not being able to get pregnant and have a child. And that's been a stressor in your life as well. Oh, very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Um, yeah, very interesting. Okay, so let's see here. Temple path here. I'm sensing this link here between like spirituality and the sun. And I know in ancient Egypt, the sun god is Ra. And I'm trying to think of other sort of ancient pantheons and collection of gods and goddesses, and I'm not really as familiar. Maybe some of you know about the sun gods from other cultures and civilizations. I know the Mayans, I believe, had one for sure, and I'm presuming the Incans. But in any case, you were definitely in a past life someone who worshipped this sun god. Okay. And I'm getting from this lifetime too, in the past, there was this feeling of being forsaken by the gods because you had such a hard life and you had such a hard time, working with the soil and in agriculture. Okay. And it felt very unfair and it felt like you were being punished by the gods for reasons you don't even know. You're like, hey, why is all this calamity befalling me? Why are there soldiers like attacking my village when we're just trying to live in peace? Why are my crops not growing when I'm working so hard? I'm getting up so early in the morning. I'm working, hard until the sun sets and I'm getting like working my body to the bone and I'm not getting the results of my labor with these droughts and these famines that are just so unexpected. And so I'm getting this sense of feeling like forsaken, like and abandoned by your higher power, by your God. And again, so not So there's, in this lifetime, what I'm sensing is this lack of trust in people that are in power. Okay, whether that be in, physical world, where it's like your government, your political leaders, governor, right, along the state level, along the town level, even those types of leaders, and also even maybe some issues surrounding your faith, your religion, or your spirituality. Okay. Now it's interesting here that we have this caring connection here, and what I'm sensing from this here is a lot of very strong familial ties, and your spouse in your past life, your children in your past life. I'm sensing a lot of love in the home for many of you in past lives. And I think that's what made this whole experience a lot harder, because it wasn't just you and your well-being that was on the line. It was the well-being of your family and people that you were providing for. But I sense that the love was so strong within the family unit that it's like you would do anything for each other if it meant that someone in your family would get a proper meal, be sheltered and clothed, that there's no length that you wouldn't go to ensure their safety and their well-being. Oh, that is so beautiful. Okay, let's see a little bit about this with the tarot as well. And actually what I'm getting from Spirit is to talk more about how it's affecting your present life, your karma right now. Okay? So we will honor that energy here. So the card that jumped out already is the Death card. So I'm sensing here that there's definitely a fear of death, of end of life. I know some people, they fear dying, they fear for their health and well-being, especially, in recent times with the pandemic, how so many people were afraid of getting sick and passing away from the complications of the illness, right? And so definitely there's a big worry about that. But I'm also sensing that Spirit is really, with this Death card, encouraging people that were drawn to let the past go, like really do that inner work and that healing, to allow this past life where you faced a lot of hardships to heal and be released, okay? That you've already experienced that, and in this lifetime, you don't need to experience that again. So that's what I'm sensing here with this Death card. And it's so interesting that we have this horse here. Okay. And what's really awesome? This is reminding me of something I heard here in the US, is that horses that were used for what is that thing called? The racetracks. Oh God, there's a name for it. But anyways, like horses that the horse jockey would ride them and race the horses, and you'd bet on the horses, right? I don't know why I'm having like so many brain farts today. But anyways, those horses, when they're no longer fit for competition, like maybe they've went past their prime as far as their ability to run at a very fast pace, a lot of times they would actually, I guess, get killed or euthanized, which is kind of horrible. But now there was this ruling that got passed where those horses could actually be used as therapeutic animals. Kind of like how people have those emotional support dogs and cats and pets. Well, there is a lot, I would say it seems like it's a growing profession and a growing field where people are able to use other animals like horses. I've heard of sheep as well, to be emotional support animals. And so it might be healing for you to go work with a horse, either as an emotional support animal, or even find a way in which you could go like on a nice, calm walk on horseback. I know I did that recently when I went to Mexico. We rode a horse like across this river, and we rode it through this town along the beach. It was super duper calming and relaxing. It was really, really fun. And I felt so at ease when I was on this horse, which you have to be careful about which horse you have because I have been on like horse riding excursions where some of the horses were really kind of wild and it was a bit scary to ride them. So just make sure that you connect with your horse, right? And ask the rancher, the equine master, whatever they're called, I don't know, the horse expert, the horse whispers. Make sure to ask them, like, hey, I would really like a very calm, chill, easy to manage horse to go on this horseback riding experience with, okay? I've always wanted to ride a horse on the beach, actually. When we were riding through the town, it wasn't exactly along the beach. It was more like, going through the town and you could see the beach from the town itself. So, anyways, that might actually be very therapeutic for you as well, okay? So next we have the Four of Swords. Yes, so definitely rest. And what I'm sensing here is meditation. And so it might even behoove you to find somebody who does past life regressions to help you examine this lifetime, whether it's, as a farmer or whether it's during the ancient Greek, ancient Roman empires, or even ancient Egypt, Little House on the Prairie vibes again, whatever. So it may actually be really, really helpful for you to do a past life regression to kind of put that lifetime to rest. Next, we have Four of Wands. So this to me is speaking to this. Like, look at how happy these people are here together. So even though you had some rough times, that what I'm sensing kind of was prevalent during the later part of your life, the later years, there were times where there were celebrations and there was real bonding amongst not only just your family, but also your village, your town, your community. I'm sensing like these town celebrations, village fairs, like, especially on those holidays, and significant events in your culture. There were a lot of fun times there. And I would say those are things that you kind of held on to when times were rough. You would look back on those memories and be like, oh, I remember when XYZ, right? Remember when we had that festival like a year ago and we had so much fun and I met you, my partner, my spouse, or the kids really enjoyed this peddler that came through and sold their goods and their toys, right? Ooh, the High Priestess. Okay, so definitely there is some exploration of the subconscious that needs to happen here. And with this card, what I'm getting, for those of you that don't feel quite connected or aligned with doing a past life regression, even getting a personalized reading, specifically focusing on your past life and the lessons that were meant to be learned in that past life, that way you can kind of put them into your consciousness right now and release those energies, okay? Because right now they're in your subconscious. So like the details of this experience are in your subconscious, and they are those emotional vibrations and those energy signatures of your past life in the subconscious are like coming up to the surface and creating these situations in your life right now of scarcity. So what I'm sensing for many of you is, you had these past lives where you were never sure about when you're going to get your next meal, how you're going to pay for the food, supplies, clothing that you need. And so in this lifetime, what could be happening for you is that you're struggling to make ends meet. Like financial wealth and abundance has been a problem for you, and you feel like you've never quite made your goals when it comes to how much money you have in your bank account. Okay. And that's largely because of this lifetime right here. And I'm trying to see for those of you with this Greco-Roman sort of energy, what this could mean. I'm sensing an energy of disempowerment coming from you, that because you don't have a lot of faith in your leaders, in the current power structure and the power hierarchy in modern society, that you feel very isolated, you feel very alone, you feel very vulnerable, and you're not able to step into your own power, and it feels like your destiny is out of your control. And so Spirit is saying that true power lies within you always. Like, you create your reality. And when you give your power over to other people, then you're at their mercy. And so Spirit is saying to really stand tall in your power, and that you are a lot more capable than you think, and that there's this fear of failure that's holding you back because you think like, hey, if these people in power can't make it happen, how am I supposed to make it happen for myself? And that's simply not true. I think that's one of the biggest lies that so many of us tell ourselves, is that we're at the mercy of someone else, some external power, and we don't really fully step into our divine nature and our divine abilities, because all of you, are gods and goddesses in your own right, and all of you were brought here to this planet to really thrive. Okay, I truly believe that. It's just a matter of undoing the programming and the social upbringing and cultural upbringing that we've had that are contrary to that energy, okay? That those beliefs and ideas that say we're not enough, that we're not worthy, okay? It's about dismantling those. Okay, so let's see. We have 8 of Cups. So what I'm saying here is, again, leaving this energy behind, this energy of like not having enough, this energy of insecurity, this energy of lack of trust in others, therefore not trusting yourself and your own abilities. So leaving all of this in the past, all of these emotional imprints and pain in the past, really healing it and rewriting this narrative, okay? Because in this lifetime, you're not a victim. In this lifetime, I'm going to say this again, in this lifetime, you are not a victim. So I'd like you to comment this down below. As of this moment, I am stepping into my true, limitless power and calling in my deepest desires into reality. So as of this moment, I'm choosing to step into my divine, limitless power and call in to reality my deepest desires and dreams. Okay, I kind of like changed it up a little bit, but the energy is still the same, all right? And you can definitely word this in your own way so you feel comfortable saying it. And it's important that you repeat this to yourself often, anytime you feel afraid. So that's going to be your cue, your triggers. Anytime you feel fear and you're not quite sure where this fear is coming from, say your affirmation, say your incantation about your divine limitless power, that you are choosing to step into it and that you are choosing to manifest your dreams, all right? Wow. So my loves, if you enjoyed this reading and you got something out of it, please make sure to like and comment down below. And of course, if you love the vibes here, make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss out on any videos. And if you'd like to support this channel as well and you feel called to do so, there is a donation link in the description box down below, or you can simply just let the ads play anytime you watch a video here on YouTube. Now, if you're ready for another reading, I feel like there's been a lot to contemplate though, but if you're ready for another reading, you can definitely click this link right up here in the top right corner. Otherwise, my loves, I will see you again very, very soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Cosmic hugs and lots of love. I said that weird. Anyways, bye. Hey there, Soul Fam. Welcome to another reading here at Transform with Ryan. So happy to be doing another reading for you here about who were you in a past life and what was the karma that came from that past life into this present life. So fun information that's going to be coming through today for all of you in your reading. And for those of you that this is your first reading here at Transform with Ryan, what a powerful introduction to this channel. I'm so happy that you're here. Sending you such a warm welcome and aloha. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the comments down below. So let's see what we got going on here, loves. We have persecution and inquisition. So yes, definitely you could have had a life during like the Spanish Inquisition, for example, or perhaps even during the Holocaust, like that timeline. But what I'm also getting as well for several of you is that you definitely had a life where you were kind of on the run, where you were trying to escape something, most likely the law, maybe a debt collector, even. Um, Maybe you were even trying to escape like an arranged marriage or a life that was predetermined or decided for you before you had any notion of your own choice and your own desires. So I'm sensing this life for many of you where you are being chased um, by by some force, and I'm also getting that. Oh my gosh. Sometimes the words come into my sensory system before I have a chance to actually say it. Oh, now I feel like I kind of lost it a bit. It will come back. It'll come back if it's important. So I also pulled some additional cards here to give us sort of like a subtext, a subheading, if you will, of this energy from this past life that we're going to be exploring today. So we have ships. Oh, there you go. So definitely also, oh, Puritans. People of certain religious faiths, of course, back in those colonial times, eras and stuff, they crossed the sea to kind of escape their situation there. And so ships are definitely going to be a big part, and I see that more as a means of escape. Um, oh, this is interesting. What I'm also getting for some of you, it's like you escaped your life and became a pirate. Um, where there's this sort of lawlessness about being out on the sea. I'm sensing for some of you too, you actually escaped responsibilities. So, in a way, some of you abandoned your duties and responsibilities and kind of like went to a new land, went out on sea to sort of shirk your duties here, okay? No judgments, just letting you know that that's what happened. Who knows your reasonings and thoughts behind the choices you made, right? And next here we have scribe or writer. So what I'm getting from this actually is you kept a journal. Many of you kept a journal or a record of your experiences here. I'm also getting here that many of you escaped persecution and whatever because of a legal matter. And so there was something like perhaps you owed a huge debt that you couldn't pay. And rather than, going to jail for that debt or going into slavery to pay off your debts, you kind of ran away. Um, and I'm seeing for some of you, like, if this was present during this era of your past life, there were even like wanted posters or like missing posters of you in a past life. Yeah, I'm sensing some of you pirates for sure. Some of you also going to the wild, wild west, right? Where you can kind of live again in this lawless land and you can sort of disappear, if you will. Ooh, interesting, interesting. I'm feeling like sort of these anti-hero vibes, right? Like not, we're all the heroes or heroines of our own story, but I'm sensing these vibes of where you're like not the traditional hero type in this past life that we're looking at today. And that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Because I would say that most people like to believe that perhaps they were a good person in a past life. And likely you were. But also, it's highly likely there were some lives in which you lived, because you have a multitude of them. There were some lives you've lived where you weren't such a great person, right? Maybe you weren't the hero. Maybe you were more of the villain in that lifetime. So who knows, again, who knows what the situation here is, because we're just getting glimpses of it. And this is a general reading, so we're not getting the full picture as it relates to you. But this is something to sort of jump off of. So let's see what kind of energies came here with this past life and how it's kind of affecting maybe this current life. Man holding a heart. Ooh. So with this card, I'm definitely getting some of you ran away from an arranged marriage. That's for sure. Here, healer of the ages. I'm going to have to pull some tarot cards on this. I'm not getting anything very strong with this card right now, but it is quite an interesting card to show up here given the context we were discussing earlier. Actually, something that just came through is, this figure here gives me like Jesus vibes. I don't know about how you feel about it or if you kind of sense that as well, like with this light around the head and the positioning of the arms and like the stance that he's taking. It's screaming like Jesus vibes. So definitely many of you were persecuted for your religious or spiritual beliefs, because in the time that you were living, that wasn't the popular belief system, okay? And here, door to personal healing and happiness. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So what I'm getting here is it's actually very important that you recall this past life. So you can do so in a meditation. There are people who do past life regressions, like myself. I'm sure you could just Google it to see if there's someone nearby you as well that you can do a past life regression with. And I would encourage you to, I believe I mentioned this earlier, read Dr. Brian Weiss's books and get sort of like a feel and a sense of past life regressions and how those go. But what I'm seeing here is that remembering this past life will be key for you to up-level your current happiness, your current joy in your life. Like, not saying that you guys are having like a bad life right now, but it definitely feels like you're kind of at a plateau and that you're ready for something more, something better. And the key to that lies within this past life. What I'm sensing here is energetically, there has to be some type of ownership that needs to be taken into account with your situation. Like, you just have to own, like, hey, there are parts of me that some may view as bad or negative or evil or villainous or whatever, like, right? But those parts of me are still worthy of love. Those parts of me still have value. Those parts of me still have a right to exist, okay? So what do I mean by that? For example, like, some people who are vegetarian or vegan, they speak about the sanctity of life and the poor conditions in which animals are raised and slaughtered. And along some threads, when that information is shared, people who eat meat feel bad, right? They feel bad, like, oh, like, I got all this information about the poor treatment of animals and such, and now I feel bad for eating meat. But I enjoy meat so much and it tastes good and I don't want to stop eating meat, right? And so even though there's this energy of like, oh, you're doing a bad thing by eating meat, that's still a part of you and that's still something you enjoy and you like doing. And that part of you should still receive love and acceptance and care, And so that's kind of what I mean by there's like these things that can be seen as evil, or like maybe you don't recycle as much as you should, or maybe you like to buy clothes from a certain store that doesn't always have the best interests of minorities or LGBTQ people at heart, or something, right? I'm sure maybe by now you have a sense of what I mean by those parts of yourself that some might categorize as bad, but that need to be accepted and loved by you. I'm not saying everybody else has to love it, but you need to love these pieces of you, okay? And what I'm getting here, we were talking about like a life on the run, like hiding who you are because of this not being safe, because of your religious beliefs or your ideas or whatever. That many of you need to start honoring your true self, honoring your true identity, and stop playing these roles that other people have assigned to you that don't really fit, that don't resonate with you anymore. So that's another aspect of it, because in this day and age, for the most part, you can find a community of like-minded, like-spirited souls that agree with your morals and your values and your ethics. So there's not quite this dire need anymore to hide who you are. Like your life isn't being immediately threatened. Um, there aren't people who are getting sent to concentration camps these days or internment camps, like what happened with the Japanese Americans. So now you have the space to be who you are. All right. I feel like there's so many layers to this reading for those of you that were drawn to this second pile here. There's like so many different possibilities as to what this could mean. It's quite fascinating. But at the same time, a little bit overwhelming because I want to make sure to provide as clear and concise information as possible. But I guess you can only do so much in a general reading, right? So I'm trusting that several of these points, even though not all of them, are sort of resonating with you. But let me know in the comments though, like which points are resonating with you. Kind of affirm that and let that energy into your life so that it can kind of be healed and released. And you can unlock these greater levels of healing and happiness and joy and love into your life. But let's take a look more about this karmic situation. I think that's really important aspect here of past life reading that we're doing. So let's take a look at this karma. So Page of Cups, Seven of Swords, the Moon, Queen of Pentacles. That's nice that is coming actually here with this card. And the Queen of Wands. Wow, so we got two queens here with this door to personal healing and happiness. And there's a lot of divine feminine energy that needs to be activated here in this lifetime is what I'm getting, like karmically speaking. Yeah, there was some kind of energetic imbalance here is what I am getting. There was a lot of taking happening here, taking of lives, taking of money, taking of resources, and the energy exchange was not equal. Okay, there was someone, whether that was you or someone else in this picture, was doing more taking than giving. Okay, like these people who were persecuting and like murdering others, like they're taking life, but they're not giving anything to society. They're not providing anything. These situations where you are in debt, you are taking money and you are not paying it back. So that kind of energy here. And so the divine feminine is in this essence of like, you need to have an increased awareness on the receiving aspect. So not only are you receiving what you deserve and what's just and what's right, but are other people around you receiving from you what's just and what's right and what is balanced. Okay, so that's what I'm hearing here is like, in what ways are you taking more than what you give? And in what ways are you giving more than you take? Okay, so Spirit is saying the karma here is like balancing out these energies and these responsibilities in your life. And that's what I'm getting from this card here is responsibilities. Okay, so if it feels like maybe you're being overwhelmed and maybe you feel like, oh, there's too many mouths to feed, there's too many people that are trying to get a piece of me and stuff like that, well, it's because in a past life you were kind of taking a lot. Okay, that definitely could be an instance for some of you. And karmically, what I'm getting too is because of what happened here, you are kind of prone to hoarding in this lifetime, because while you were on the run and while you're trying to escape things, I mean, it's not like you had a lot of room to hold onto material possessions and belongings. Like what I'm getting is many of you were actually struggling to accumulate wealth and things like that because you were on the run, because you were in debt, because you were out on the sea in this lawless situation, or out in the Wild West where, it's like a free-for-all. And so in this lifetime, there's a little bit of hoarding going on here, and not wanting to let go of some of your resources. And okay, so this makes sense. What Spirit is saying here is that energy needs to be flowing flowing and balance within your life. Okay, that's what needs to be happening here. This is the karma. Energy needs to flow. There has to be balance. Systems are going to be checked. Debts must be fulfilled and paid back. That's what I'm seeing here. And what I'm getting with this moon card here is that there's definitely this misunderstanding of exchange that's happening in your life right now. Like you're not clearly seeing this energy exchange of give and take. That maybe you don't feel good about taking more or giving more, right? That you feel kind of closed off energetically, okay? And you're not allowing this exchange to happen between you and others, especially on a balanced scale. All right, so take a moment to reflect on that. I feel like that's a very, very important and big point for many of you, is to really look at how you interact with others and what is your give and take dynamic between people. So look at that individually, like look at that between your parent, your child, your partner, your job, your boss, your coworkers, the people in your whatever club, community, organization, that kind of thing. Like look at really how you interact with them and what is the give and take dynamic between them, because that was kind of wackadoodle in a previous life. And so in this lifetime, you're really trying to get a sense of that dynamic here. Okay. Yeah, very, very interesting. Now, what is going on here with this Page of Cups here? So what I'm seeing here with this card is very, very interesting. It's like we have this person here on the beach and they're all dressed up like this. Like they look really silly, don't they? It's like, that's not beach wear. Like, how are you going to go swimming dressed like that? And why are you wearing all this fancy stuff here? And so there is some aspect of you that's like criticizing yourself for behaving or looking kind of foolish, for some of the things that you're doing. Like even you maybe feel like, oh, what? This doesn't make any sense. Like, why do I do that? Why am I, feeling this way about something, right? There's this sort of self-reflection that's happening here that makes you feel like you're like off somehow. Okay? And that's because of this karma, this energy here, this balance, this lifetime from the past. Okay, so take a moment to examine again these energy dynamics in your life. Wow, this reading was very, very, very curious, very, very interesting. I'd really like to know how you who chose this card like received this information, because I feel like there's something more that needs to come through here, but I get the sense I'm not the one to provide that information. So it's really, really interesting. What I'm getting from your reading is I'm just meant to plant the seed or open the door, but it's really up to you to kind of explore this on your own in more depth. Wow. So if this reading resonated with you, though, on some level, please like and comment down below. And if you're enjoying the vibes here on this channel, make sure you're subscribed, please. And if you want to, again, speaking of energy exchange, if you want to have an energy exchange here, there is a link in the description box to donate if you feel called to do so. Otherwise, you can even just simply let the ads play whenever you watch a video here on YouTube. And that's also a way of showing support energetically to content creation. Now, if you feel like another reading would benefit you in some way, shape, or form, you can click this link right up here in the top right corner. It'll take you to another reading here at Transform with Ryan. But otherwise, my loves, so happy that I was able to share this with you and plant the seed into your subconscious mind to be explored even in greater depth here soon. Sending you all so much love and cosmic hugs along your journey. See you soon. Mwah. Hey there, Star fam! So happy to have you here again at Transform with Ryan, doing this a really, really fun reading on who were you in a past life and your karma that comes from it. So happy to be talking about this topic because past life regressions are definitely one of the more interesting experiences I've had when it came to my spiritual awakening, and being able to do past life regressions for others has been like really, really cool. And I've seen the healing effects that it's had on people, and just the experience of being able to witness other people's past lives is so powerful. Now, for those of you that are new to this channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Sending you a warm aloha and greetings. I'm so happy that Spirit brought you here for this very unique, very interesting reading. Not definitely one of the more common or popular readings I tend to do here on this channel. So I'm glad that you were drawn to this reading. Please let me know where you're tuning in from down below, because I'd love to know. Maybe you've had a past life regression yourself, or maybe you've just always been curious. So for those of you drawn to this third pile here, we have the card Love Life. And so what I'm getting from this already is like, in a previous lifetime, you had an epic love. It's like the kind of love that you see in the movies where like the couple overcomes all odds and you're left feeling so warm and fuzzy. Or even for some of you, it's sort of those epic loves that may have ended in a bit of a tragedy, like a Romeo and Juliet kind of story. But definitely, definitely you had an epic love experience in a previous life. What I'm getting is one where you literally went against everything that society and culture says to pursue this love, okay? So it could even be something like, for some of you, what I'm getting is like interracial marriages. Like you loved this person so, so much, you did not care about the color of the skin, even though during that time period, people were like, you have to marry people of the same color as you, right? So I'm sensing like that kind of epic love where you were willing to risk it all, move heaven and earth, and do whatever to honor this love. So these cards here are about like the subtext, the subheading, if you will, of this life experience. So here we have the arts and health. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So what I'm getting here is definitely this very poetic love. I'm sensing that for many of you, there was this storyline of maybe you choosing someone that you love who perhaps wasn't of good social standing or wasn't as wealthy as someone else that was another prospect for you, okay? So it's kind of like you fell in love with the actor rather than the CEO, right? Both of them were vying for your love and your attention and your hand in marriage or whatever, and you chose the one that in the eyes of society was the lesser one, okay? Because what I'm sensing here was there's really a connection between the souls, a connection between the heart, not so much of like mind, which is where social constructs and conditionings lie, right? It was more a connection of the heart. Ooh, what I'm getting to is your romance was a bit of a secret in the beginning for a lot of you. Like a lot of you were like sneaking around to meet up with your lover. Wow, that's very juicy. That's very interesting. Here, what I'm getting with this health card is that you or your lover really suffered from health issues. And what I'm actually seeing here is your life or the life of your lover ended prematurely due to a health problem. So, like in modern medicine now, there's a lot of technology and knowledge that can help prolong life when there are certain diseases, right? But back in the day, back in, human civilization's history, there were things that really killed people, like smallpox, like Spanish flu. There's all these diseases, consumption, tuberculosis. Like there are a lot of these diseases that would kill people and claim lives when you were relatively young. And so that was a bit of a tragic end to your romance. And I'm going to pull the energy cards and tarot cards to get a little bit more information on this, but I'm sensing that's what this past life wound is related to, is this heartbreak that comes from having your life together cut short. So let's see. Speaking of energy cards, why don't we just draw some right now? So let's get some energy cards here to kind of look at the energy of this past life, and then we'll get some tarot cards as well to kind of further explain some of this karmic energy, okay? That is ready to be worked through, ready to be released in the here and the now. It's very interesting how these cards sound when they're shuffled. They seem a bit muted, don't they? The sound is not so loud and robust as some of the other decks when I shuffle them. So what do we have here as far as energies from past life? Second chakra, Archangel Ariel. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm sensing some of the wounds here are related to the second chakra. And the second chakra is about sexuality, which is appropriate here because of this romance energy. Also with creation and creativity, I'm sensing some energy blockages there. Like, again, either you or your partner maybe was a painter or was a musician. And there's something about that feels a bit melancholy to you now in this lifetime, okay? Like it feels like your enjoyment of the arts is not as expansive, not as big, not as robust as it could be, because it, on a subconscious level, it kind of reminds you of this past life. Interesting. It's kind of like what I'm sensing is like, as an example, of course, it's going to be different for everybody, but it's like whenever you hear someone playing like the Spanish guitar, you feel a bit melancholy, you feel a little bit sad or down, or there's this grief within you that's completely unexplainable. And you're like, I don't understand why I feel so sad when I hear a Spanish guitar playing. Like, it's so odd. Even if the song is happy, I feel a little bit sad. Like that kind of thing. Make sense? Does that make sense, everybody? Next, we have the thinking man. And, another chakra, third chakra, Archangel Chamuel. Wow. This is interesting. Okay, so first of all, this thinking man, next to the arts, I'm seeing this dynamic here about pursuing what you love and pursuing the more rational path, okay? Because in this lifetime, you chose love over what made sense. And so there's this conflict within you always between the head and the heart, right? What does your head say you should do? What does logic dictate you should do? Versus what do your emotions, your intuition, your heart suggest you should be doing? There's this conflict here. Again, it's sort of remnants of this past life where you had to choose who you're going to marry, who you're going to be with, regardless of what other people think. Now, with this third chakra here, I sense that there is this, there's something here with your physical health that, a lot of times maybe you can be a bit of a hypochondriac, where because of this premature passing, again, whether you or your partner, from your past life, you're kind of like on high alert and you're triggered. It's almost like whenever you cough or you sneeze, you're like, oh my God, am I coming down with something? Am I getting sick? Or could it be allergies? Like, I don't know. Should I take some medicine? Should I not take some medicine? Should I call out sick from work? Like maybe it'll get worse here in a little bit. It's kind of like those thoughts that are coming through. Or maybe you get random aches and pains in your body and you're like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Is it because I'm getting old? Do I have arthritis? Should I be on medicine? Or did I injure myself and not know, right? Or maybe do I have cancer, right? Like when I worked in medicine, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times people came into my clinic and they were so worried about cancer based on a symptom that they were having. And, needless to say, like the vast majority of these cases were not cancerous. There was a more benign reason for their symptoms. But sometimes the mind, takes us there, right? The mind and the ego takes us to these worst case scenarios, and we fear for our own well being. Um, yeah, that's really what I'm kind of getting here. And so there's this like feeling that you're not healthy, you're not powerful, you're not strong sometimes, right? Like you have this perception of yourself and your body being a lot weaker than it really is. Like you're a lot healthier than you think you are. That kind of thing. Okay, let's take a look at the karma. Let's take a look at the karma from this past life. That's has a bit of an anchor, a tether into this reality, this lifetime here. And maybe we'll get some clues as to how to heal this a bit. Okay? Well, interesting. We have the Page of Cups. This came out for another reading. Two of Swords. Three of Cups. Knight of Pentacles. And Ace of Cups. Wonderful. So what I'm seeing here is there's almost like this fear of love here. There's a fear of maybe looking foolish when it comes to love. Like what I'm getting is there's a piece of you from the past, even though overall you may not have regretted your choice of being with the one that you love, but there's a piece of you that's like, why did I choose this path? Because it ended in so much heartbreak and so much pain. It's almost like you wish you didn't have to go through that. It's like, yeah, this love was so epic, it was so great, but what do I have left now that my partner has passed on, right? And so there's this like fear of love and this deep connection because you're afraid that it could be taken from you at any moment. And it's like scary to kind of let it in, especially when you feel something very intense, right? Because we have the Ace of Cups here, which talks about new love, new romance, and the Page of Cups as well. So pages, when it comes to the court cards, they are similar to the Ace of beginnings, new opportunities here. And Cups energies is all about relationships with people. And what I'm sensing for you all too is not just like romantic relationships, like it's even friendships, right? Where it's like, oh my gosh, are we still like, sometimes you worry about how long you're going to be friends with this person or together with this person. And it's just like the early stages, right? It's like you're kind of jumping forward in time and like imagining how everything's going to end rather than being in the present moment and enjoying the relationship for how it is currently. Okay. Let me know if some of you tend to do that in the comments down below. If you kind of jump forward in time rather than really anchor yourself here in the present moment and enjoying this connection with friends, with family. And you tend to worry a little bit too much about the future, things that have not yet come to pass. Okay? Because, yeah, I'm seeing here with this blindfold that sometimes you live too much in the past, you live too much in the present, and you're not here in the moment where really all the beauty and all the opportunity and all the happiness actually exists is right here in the present moment. So you're kind of blinded to that a little bit. And that blinded, that loss of vision is really what is scary. Okay? Like not knowing about the future it really sets your energy off balance. Because we have this kind of ballerina, if you will, with this tutu looking skirt balancing here on this little cog in the water, right? And so I feel like things can be a bit precarious with you, right? Where you're such on high alert for any signs of things taking a turn for the worst, that you can't really enjoy what's happening here and now, right? And that's really where it's at. This is what I'm seeing as the remedy for everything, is constantly calling yourself back to the present moment. Anytime your mind wanders, calling yourself back to the present moment, back where safety, happiness, and security exist. Not worrying about the future where good things can happen or bad things can happen, and not worrying about the past when things have already been done and there's no way to change those events anymore, again, whether good or bad. So I'm seeing here really anchoring yourself in the present moment and being present with the people who you are currently sharing space with, right? Like not playing on your phone, not worrying about what you have to do tomorrow, not worrying about, the car ride home from your dinner with your friends and all that, like, or what happened at work that day and how you could have done better. Like, no, not being in those spaces or those time points, but being in here and now, enjoying the food that you're eating with your friends, enjoying, what they're sharing with you and the laughter, even just simply enjoying like the seat that you're in, like how soft and cushy it is, and the ambiance of where you're eating, right? Like those kind, like just being in that moment. Or if you're on a hike, just appreciating nature, taking a moment to touch the earth, touch a tree, touch the plants, listen to the birds singing, okay? Listen to the water flowing in the river. Like just be present in those sensations that your physical senses are calling in. And here with the Knight of Pentacles, what I'm sensing is breathing. Breathing practices are going to be very good for you. Walking meditations are going to be very good for you, because the Knight of Pentacles is very slow and steady energy. It's not easily excitable. It's not easily aroused and triggered. It's very mellow, very calm. Like these practices will be good for you, because what I'm sensing here is this fear of losing something, especially something that feels good in your life. That's what I'm getting here with your past life energies and kind of how karmically it's affecting you now, is like you're really afraid of loving something too much because you're afraid of the time in which you will lose it. And that's unfortunate. I shouldn't even say unfortunately. That's just the way of life. Like nothing is permanent. Excuse me. Nothing is forever. Things will come and go. And that's why it's even more important to enjoy the things that are with you now. Because one day it may actually be gone and you won't be able to predict or know that. So enjoy the here and the now. Enjoy the blessings that you have in your life here and now. Oh, that was so lovely. This reading was so heartwarming, guys. Let me know what you thought of it. Like and comment down below. Of course, if you vibed with the energies here on this channel, make sure you subscribe, and that way you don't miss out on any readings. And if you believe in energy exchange, you can definitely offer a donation for the reading here by clicking the link in the description box, and you can go to my PayPal account, or simply you can just let the ads play whenever you're watching a video here on Transform with Ryan, and that would be a great way to have an energetic exchange for the readings as well. Okay, my loves? Now, of course, if you're up for another reading, I know this one was kind of deep here, but if you're up for another reading, there's a link right up here in the top right corner. You can click that link and it'll take you to another reading here. I'll make sure that it's something a little bit more lighthearted for you, okay, loves? But otherwise, I really do hope that we get to connect soon. Thank you so much for sharing space with me and letting me read for you all. It was truly a pleasure. Until next time, sending you all so much love and cosmic hugs. Bye.